Hello everyone and welcome back. This is part 2 of the Demon Hunter Backtracking episode, and we're going to cover the last 4 albums. I'm going to go keep things moving along as we reach the band's 5th album, The World Is A Thorn. Released in 2010, there are actually some slight differences this time around. First of all, it's the fact that Aaron Sprinkle produced it on his own once again, because Sean Lopez co-produced the 4th album. The other changes are a new lead guitarist and rhythm guitarist. This album is Patrick Judge's first appearance on lead guitar, and it's the first and only appearance of rhythm guitarist Ryan Helm. It also featured what I think was my first Demon Hunter song in Collapsing, featuring Bjorn's Bead Strid of the band Soilwork. Oh, yeah, there are guest appearances again, once again, by the way. Once again, I don't know why I said that. The other two are Christian Alveston of Solution 45 on the track Just Breathe, and Dave Pierce of Throwdown on the track Feel As Though You Could. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on. The album is one of the band's shorter works at just over 41.5 minutes long, but there is a lot of good stuff squeezed into that, and the sound is just really good proof that it's easily the band's test to see if they could break into the mainstream. With the success of other bands like Skillet at the time, it's hard to see why they tried it out. It probably worked, or at least it worked at me, so I've got no problem with that. There are so many more things going on as well in terms of production, with the outcome resulting in some of the band's lightest sounding work, in my opinion. Strings are added, not that that's a bad thing, obviously. Strings are added much like they were in Storm the Gates of Hell, and there's more use of some piano as well. Not to mention a kind of auto-tuned sounding echo on the final track, Blood in the Tears, making Ryan Clark's voice sound a little bit strange and awesome. As a rule, I'm not usually one for auto-tune, but if it makes a singer sound robotic on purpose, like it does here, then I'm all for it. If they're using auto-tune deliberately as a part of song, then I'm fine with it. If they use it to the fact that they can't sing, I'm not so fine with it, but Ryan Clark can sing, and he can sing well. Before I go over that, though, I would like to mention Patrick Judge briefly. Holy fuck, can this dude shred. I'm glad that he became a permanent fixture for the band by this point, because I really like his guitar playing style, his riffs are awesome, and his solos are just fantastic. And also, he makes a pretty good backing vocalist, adding some nice, deep, and really clean backup singing of his own. But yes, back to Ryan Clark. Another awesome balance between screaming and singing, with his screaming sounding as most coherent. He actually starts adopting a really singy, screamy style here, where it's a good mixture of both and just sounds great. Also, his lyrics get more personal and more fighty and shouty. I like it. Ryan Helm lands a good chug on the rhythm guitar for his only appearance on the Demon Hunter album. John Spaceworks steps up to the plate well and sounds really great with some scales and grooves of his own. And Yogi's drumming sounds much more technical this time around, but can still be fast-paced and breakneck, which is just awesome. I just love the Yogi behind the kit. Standout songs include the title track, Life War, Collapsing, Tie This Around Your Neck, and This Is the Line, possibly being my favourite. Demon Hunter once again step up production value and get more experimental with that, and the result is just another solid release. I can safely recommend this one. We carry on with their 6th album, True Defiance. Released in 2012, there are once again a few different things about this one. First of all, it puts together what is still Demon Hunter's current lineup with the induction of rhythm guitarist Jeremiah Scott, and another is the album cover. Now, they always change the design of it because on the album cover is their signature, really cool looking demon logo, but for True Defiance, they went with another triptych style thing by creating 3 different album covers. Only difference is, well, they're not really too different this time. The main album cover has a cool looking skull against a red background with a candle on its head and a crown of thorns surrounding it, and it has more of a full looking mouth / jaw, like it's got more of a bottom half of the mouth, if that makes sense. The other 2 take away that lower jaw in the candle and replace the crown with nails. Also, the background for one of them is white, whilst the other is blue. Obviously, the crown and nails are both references to Christ, because, crown of thorns, nails that hung him on the cross. Also, True Defiance is the first Demon Hunter album that I ever listened to, and to be honest, it was really good stuff for me. In terms of sound, there's just this really huge energy to it that I really love. Maybe that's because it was released on my 20th birthday, but I digress. This time the band had some really nice groove metal elements, and it just sounds so heavy. It's probably the heaviest album, and that's bearing in mind that the only album that I haven't listened to as of writing this is Outlive. Well, I've listened to it now, but yeah. But yeah, it's True Defiance. It's fast-paced, it's full of energy and anthems to keep you going through. It's got a really cool title. Despite the professional critics giving it a mixed positive response, I personally just really love the album. I do. It's fun, brilliantly produced, it's heavy as hell, it stays in your head. and it rarely lets up for its length, which is it's under 49 minutes. It's between 40 and 49 minutes. So yeah, really, really good. Okay, maybe I'm showing a little bit of a bias towards it since it was my first Demon Hunter album, but I just really, really like it, and I don't care. It's heavy and it stays in your head, and it's what Demon Hunter needed at the time. See, as much as I like the World Is A Thorn and Storm the Gates of Hell, they wind up sounding kind of samey after a while. Don't get me wrong, it's easy to discern the two from each other, but there are a lot of similarities between them. True Defiance, however, bucks that tradition. It is still slightly experimental, but it focuses mostly on just being heavy, fast-paced, and extremely enjoyable. The addition of Jeremiah Scott on rhythm guitar was great, adding more guitar solos was a good choice, and everything gets cranked up to 11. It's just amazing. The album left a huge impression on me personally, so I hope it'll do the same for all of you. Ryan Clark gives yet another great vocal performance, even adding some low, deep singing from time to time, as well as higher sounding screams, as well as adding more memorable lyrics. Jeremiah Scott provides a good chug with the rhythm guitar, getting plenty of time to show some good riffs and chugs for his first album with the band. Patrick Judge steps up more backing vocals, and his lead guitar work is just awesome, showing off more diversity with the solos and leads. John Dunn's bass work shows massive improvements, picking really fast and going along well with everyone else. And Yogi continues to impress me on the drums, adding more snare and great double bass work and timing. Just awesome, fantastic stuff. Standout songs include My Destiny, Someone to Hate, We Don't Care, The Great Collision and Dead Flowers, and my favourite in God Forsaken. True Defiance might suffer from my biased opinion towards it, but considering that my opinion is that it's fucking awesome, there's really no need to worry. Great solos, breakdowns, catchy lyrics, and awesome production. Yay, I can recommend this one, there's no doubt about that. We keep things moving along with the seventh album, Extremis. Released in 2014, there's another slight change in the producers. Aaron Sprinkle stays on, but with the guitarist Jeremiah Scott actually takes part in the proceedings alongside him. But does that pairing work? Well, in all honesty, it does, but they don't save the album. Yeah, you were probably all prepared for it when I mentioned that Summer of Darkness wasn't my least favourite Demon Hunter album. Let me tell you that it is probably Extremist, and I still have outlived to listen to it yet. But yeah, so I don't fully hate the album, as is often the case when it comes to the show. I often don't show the appreciation that I'm set for something, i.e. my two-part Yellow Card episode. But Extremist is just really meh. Granted, the band themselves said that it was kind of a necessary step back from how heavy True Defiance was, but they could have at least tried to mix up more stuff instead of giving us a satisfying version of True Defiance. There's just something about the album that sounds so drab. Maybe it's the name sounding pretty cool and the album cover being pretty cool, but giving us nothing but slightly familiar territory. And it's not in a good way. There isn't even anything inherently bad with the album. The songs are all pretty good, making things sound like the reins are pulled back only when necessary. The performances are just fine, the lyrics and messages are good, and the production doesn't overdo it too much, but that might be my biggest nitpick about the album. There is too much going on at once in terms of production. Now, as I said, I don't mind it when Ryan Clark's vocals are double-tracked. I know I contradicted myself earlier, but shut up. But it sounds really weird when they're quintuple-tracked. That means 5 for all of you maths nerds out there. The production just kind of drowns out what are otherwise great performances, and it can spoil the experience. It's clear that this was intended to be more accessible like the Triptych, but it just tries too hard with that, I think. An album with a name like Extremist shouldn't sound this cookie-cutter and just boring. That's probably my biggest feeling towards the album. It bored me from time to time. I don't want to be bored, and that's all that I felt. As I said, all of the performances were really good. Ryan's screams and cleans still sound good. Weird effects aside, and his lips are still really top stuff. The guitar work Jeremiah Scott and Patrick Judge sounds great together, with awesome riffs from both of them, and great solos from the latter. John Dunn just keeps on making good bases, but he's kind of drowned out a little bit, as is everyone else. And Yogi's drumming kind of takes a backseat, which isn't good because he's fantastic behind the kit. Standout songs include Death, the intro track, Cross the Bear, Artificial Light, One Last Song, and my favourite, In Gasoline. After having such high hopes with how good True Defiance was, Extremis is kind of a disappointment, with too much production going on that ruins an otherwise solid effort from Demon Hunter. I really can't recommend this one, I'm afraid. It's boring, overblown, and not much that we hadn't heard before by this point. And we round things up as we reach their 8th and most recent album, Outlive. Released at the end of March this year, at the end of last month, because it's near the end of April now, there are very few changes in terms of cast and crew. All the band members stay the same, the label is the same, and the production is once again the same as Aaron Sprinkle and Jeremiah Scott worked together, much like they did on Extremist. So, with all that in mind, you would expect this to sound like another Extremist because of who's producing it, right? Well, you're wrong. Stop thinking about that because Outlive is actually pretty damn good. There's finally more of a balance again in terms of tone and sound with more clean vocals. And there isn't a shortage of screams, and I do like that it feels more like a traditional metal album as well. There are fast-paced parts, there are slow parts, there are some hard-hitting tracks, there are more laid-back ones. It's a mixed bag, but the bag is mixed very well with things that we can all enjoy, so I'm all for it. It has kind of the opposite effect that Extremists had. See, the vocals on that were overproduced to the point of everything else just drowning in them, whereas for Outlive, the vocals don't really take over as much precedence, and it makes everything a lot more balanced. Even the production has improved, only occasionally being used for Ryan Clark's voice to sound different. Speaking of Clark, I did mention that there's vocal lead singing. Well, he's improved in that regard, I feel. He's singing at a clear, concise, cognitive, low register that I can understand really easily, and it doesn't take away from the impact of the songs. There are more references to faith and God on this one too, and it's got kind of a slight tinge of a worship feel to it. I don't know why I like it, but I just do. I dare say that it's clearer on this album than any other to understand the references and cries out to a higher being. Good job there, to be honest. Just sounds nice. But just because he's singing clean, it doesn't mean that his screams are lacking any. There's plenty of enough of those to keep things balanced in terms of vocals, which I like. I like balance, and I say it a lot on this series and show, but that's just because it's so damn true. Going back to production for a moment, I mentioned that it's improved. I should also mention that there's plenty of really nice little effects like some synth and strings work that are dropped nicely into the backgrounds of the songs. And even with the member performing, those background effects really aren't drowned out and only help to drive the songs home that much harder. It works really well and it often provides a great backdrop of points. It's a lovely little bit of experimentation that I quite enjoy. Ryan Clark gives his cleanest vocal performance yet, with the screams remaining vicious as always and his balancing and lyrics working well with the song's tones. Judge turns in another awesome performance on lead guitar, adding more technicality and timing to his solos and licks, with Jeremiah Scott doing the same, keeping it well with his counterpart with awesome riffs and licks of his own. John Dunn's bass probably gets more time to shine here than anywhere else. Excuse me, plucking a good line through the album, and Yogi's drumming will never not be awesome, showing great balance and alertness depending on the song. Sorry if I'm slightly slurring. I had a couple of Chewit Extremes just now, and yeah, sour apple flavour, really nice. No sponsor, by the way. Standout songs include One Less, Cold Winter Sun, the awesome closing track in Slightly Odds, Died in My Sleep, and my favourite amongst them all in Cold Blood. Outlive is an album that picked up the slack from Extremists, and the fact that they have turned to the fans for help for the album really didn't hurt much. It's another solid effort with improved production, great guitar work, and proving that as old as the band are now, they still have a lot of fight left in them, and I can safely recommend this album. It's really good. So, that's it for my two-part Demon Hunter Backtracking episode. What a big one this was. My favourite album and least favourite album were clearly True Defiance and Extremists respectively. True Defiance added a fury, pace and balance that I'm biased towards for several reasons, and Extremists kind of just feels really meh in comparison. There are good things about Extremists, but still just kind of meh to me. It might be someone else's cup of tea, but it's just not mine. Which is ironic because I actually have a cup of tea right now. Or is that coincidence? Yeah, it's coincidence, it's not irony. Yeah. Anyway, join me next time for the world's best known virtual band, The Gorillas. Next time. I'll see you all then, and thank you for listening. Stay awesome.